cruise to 88 miles per hour and travel back in time to review our favorite films from all genres and bring you celebrity interviews every single week.
Very good, Lewis. Short but pointless.
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds.
You want me to yank you out of that seat and shake it out of you?
I don't have it. Screws fall out all the time. The world's an imperfect place.
And now, here is your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD. Welcome to the Back in Time podcast, and welcome to a very special episode. We are giving our reaction to the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer that dropped today. So if you're listening to this, it's been about 24 hours. We've had a little time to digest. Let me welcome in my co-host, JD. JD, how are you tonight?
Spooky, spooky, spooky. I like the December spookies.
Okay. Well, I like that we're talking about this because one of my favorite movies of all time. Man, I have to be honest, I never thought that we'd be having this conversation. I didn't think this movie would ever really happen.
Well, technically it did happen in 2016, but as we will learn from this trailer, apparently this day was to come.
Yeah, but I mean, if you remember, for the longest time, like when they talked about a Ghostbusters sequel, it was always like, what 4 comics are we going to get to remake this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to have like a fresh take on this and to know that the OGs, if we can call them that, are back in some fashion, man, I couldn't be more excited. I guess I want to start, let's play the trailer and let's give some first reactions right off the bat here. Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's get freaky.
All right, here we go.
What are you doing here in Somerville anyway?
Honestly, my mom won't say it, but we're completely broke. And the only thing that's left in our name is this creepy old farmhouse our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere. Why'd you bring me up here?
Entertainment value?
What is that?
I don't know.
Somehow, a town that isn't anywhere near a tectonic plate, that has no fault lines, no fracking, no loud music even, is shaking on a daily basis.
Under the dining table now!
Hey, remember that one summer we died under a table?
I found this in my living room.
Whoa, killer replica.
A replica of what?
A ghost trap? There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. New York in the 80s? It's like The Walking Dead. Your dad never mentioned this to you?
It's just my mom. My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Call it fate. Call it luck. Call it karma. That everything happens for a reason.
Come on, darling.
It has a gunner seat?
Okay, JD, start us off, man. What did you think about the trailer? What's your first reactions without getting away from too many points, which we're going to digest here in a minute?
Well, first of all, I gotta say I'm not crazy about what I just watched.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the age swapping that's getting done, where you're just jamming Finn Wolfhard into stuff just because Stranger Things. So I'm really hoping that there's an adult element to this, and this is just kind of more of a cash grab at the Stranger Things crowd.
Okay. Now, I understand that point. Now, I will tell you, I read or listened to an interview with Jason Reitman who said exactly what you said. When he heard that Finn Wolfhard was on the call sheet, he did not want to see him for the movie. He didn't think he was right, but out of respect, he let the kid come in and audition. In minutes in, he was like, I have to fucking cast him. He's fantastic.
I'm not saying that the kid's not a good actor. He's got some chops for sure. I have the same dismay after watching this trailer that I did after the 2016 reboot or revamp or whatever the hell you want to call that mess.
Ooh, this hurts. This hurts to hear you say that.
But I'll let you. The conversation will grow organically. So
Sure.
I'll let you talk.
Okay. Well, I think I had the complete opposite reaction because I don't know. There was just, I love the beginning because it felt like a Jason Reitman movie. And about halfway through, and right around the time where Venkman pops up and he's like, call it fate, call it luck, call it karma. Like, that's when it really started to get me like deep in the chest. I was like, ooh, this is Ghostbusters here. And then it felt like it changed from Jason Reitman to like an Amblin Entertainment production. And I was like, okay, I mean, if they're going to go there, I like Amblin. I like Steven Spielberg. I love all the Easter eggs I'm seeing. So yeah, I'm jacked up about it.
Oh, shoot, you watched it how many times so far today?
Oh, at least 20.
I don't know. I'm not saying that I think it's going to be a bad movie. I just, in watching this trailer, doesn't seem to be the movie that I want to watch.
Okay. I mean, if you could have watched something different today, what would you have wanted to see from it?
I would, again, I mean, this is just a trailer. It's kind of hard to overanalyze it. There's so many articles that have popped up today. 55 Easter eggs that you missed in the trailer. And it's just like, come on, it's a trailer. But I would love to see, and I know the original cast is back. I know that it appears that they're doing some sort of lineage. I'm assuming the kid is Egon's grandson.
Okay.
He's the only.
Well, do we want to go there? So, okay. So the two kids, so Finn Wolfhard and then the girl, which is Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, which is the one that looks a lot like Egon with the curly hair and the glasses. They are descendants of Egon. So where we get that tidbit is at one point, Mr. Gruberson, which is Paul Rudd, looks at Phoebe and says, "Who are you?" And then she goes into the closet and pulls back a jacket, and on the front of it says Spangler.
Okay, see, I couldn't read what it said, but I just assumed because he's the only one who died in real life, being Harold Ramis, that if there's any familiar relation, it had to be through him.
Yeah, and that's definitely where they're going with the story. So, single mom, this is their last option. Like, he says they're broke. Only thing left in their name is this creepy old farmhouse. And they go out here and, yeah, it's just, there's like an old mine shaft, which we'll get more into because there is something behind that mine shaft that ties back to the original movie, which is pretty exciting. What did you think about the voiceover from Peter Venkman? Call it fate, call it luck, call it karma. I believe that everything happens for a reason.
I think it's cool. It's a nice little touch. It's a nice little ad, and I'm hoping that it's just sort of a prelude to a bigger part that he'll play to the story, not necessarily to the movie, because it seems like the kids are going to be the central focus for sure. But
okay,
as long as it's his part and Zedmore and Dan Aykroyd's part isn't them stuffed into the equivalent of Jeff Goldblum's cameo in Jurassic World 2. As long as there's something more to them being a part of the story, I will be satisfied. I don't know.
I believe the word Dan Aykroyd, or the phrase Dan Aykroyd uses, they are woven into the DNA of this story. So I think, and this is why I really like the trailer, because I feel like it would have been forced if at the end they pop up and they're like, "Oh, who are you going to call?" And that to me would have made my eyes roll. The fact that they didn't include them, and I still love the trailer, and they didn't really spoil anything, for me, makes me think that there's a lot more to this.
Yeah, and I mean, I get what you're saying, and I know what you're saying, and because you, from what I recall, loved the first It remake, correct?
2016?
Yeah.
Nah, my son liked it a lot.
I thought you liked it.
I thought it was okay. I wasn't crazy about it, but I wasn't one of the people that were out there like bashing it left and right. I kind of took it for what it was.
See,
yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm getting the same vibes that from that movie in this trailer, and that's sort of where I'm coming from, a place of apprehension now. So I don't know, because I wasn't a big fan. I like the original It. I don't think it needed to be tinkered with, but they really kidified it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the reaction to the movie outside of us. So the 2016 remake was notorious for having so many people hate the movie. Like, it broke records on YouTube. The amount of thumbs down compared to thumbs up. It had 10,000 thumbs up and 12,000 dislikes first day. Right now, Ghostbusters Afterlife, 5.2 million just on the Sony YouTube account, 194,000 thumbs up, 10,000 dislikes. So still some people that don't like the movie, or don't like the trailer in this case, but overwhelmingly, like 20-1 are saying they like.
And what are people saying they liked about it?
I can go through some of the comments here. Let's take a look. I can't wait for this movie to come out. Anyone noticed when he said there has not been a ghost sighting in 30 years? Ghostbuster 2 came out in 1989. So there have been no ghosts in 2016, just now. Smiley face. So people kind of slamming on 2016. I feel like Paul Rudd had the time of his life filming this. I would agree with that. I think he does too. The trailer alone is already better than the last movie. Yeah, hard to argue that. Sony, let's pretend Girls Ghostbusters never happened. So I'm not really seeing anything here negative. I got chills when they mentioned the grandfather. I mean, a couple people kind of down on them about the Finn Wolfhard casting. I've seen a little bit of that. Oh, so they're trying to push Stranger Things. I don't feel like they're trying to. I mean, Stranger Things is like a love letter to the 80s. So I don't feel like this is them trying to cash in now on Stranger Things.
See, I disagree. I agree with the comment that it even the way that it looks, like it's got Jason's like signature, which I love him as a director. I think he's a fantastic job. And I have no doubt that it's going to be a technically proficient movie. But how could you not think that they're trying to cash in on the Stranger Things vibe?
I don't know. I guess I listened to the interview with the guy, and I believe it when he says he didn't want to cast him until he read for the part. And then he was like, I have to cast him because he is this role. So I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot of, I guess, dark hair, curly headed kids that know how to, really play a role of a 1980s kid. Probably better than him. I mean, there's a reason Corey Feldman cashed in the 80s, right?
It's true.
He kind of had that. He had that little shtick, and it worked over and over and over and over again for like 8 #1 movies in a row. So yeah, I get your point. I hope that that's not the only reason they did it, but it is Hollywood. It's entirely possible. But let's talk a little bit about some of the finer points of the trailer here, and just kind of see what stuff you picked up on. So a couple seconds into the movie, or into the trailer here, we see them coming out of a hotel. They're getting a notice that they've been evicted, and they have to come out. And you see that Finn's character, who is Trevor, is carrying a box that would be like a toolbox type of thing. And his character he's a gearhead, so he knows how to fix up cars and things like that, which is kind of cool because that was Stantz in the original Ghostbuster, was the guy that always fixed up the cars, not Egon. So I was still kind of like, is it Stantz? Is it Egon? Like, whose grandkids are they here? What do you think about that story? Because the original is really like a going out of business and then coming into business type of thing. And here's a family that's getting evicted and then moving into a new house It's kind of similar as far as the plot goes, at least for the beginning. What do you think?
I mean, in a broad sense, yeah, there are similarities, but to me, once you throw your stuff and kids into it, it takes away from that. Like, because there was a whole big part of them losing their jobs and in the original, and having the funding cut, but being already like established doctors, but being made a mockery of for what they practiced. And then for them to start a business and build a business right as the ghost boom is hitting, to me, it doesn't spell the same sentence as family gets evicted. They happen to move to a farmhouse where there's going to happen to be ghostly activity, allowing for 2 hours of kids running around shooting proton packs.
Okay. What did you think of the house?
It honestly reminded me of Casper.
Okay.
That's the first thing I thought when I saw the house.
Dan Aykroyd's actually in Casper.
Yeah. And that's why at first I thought it was like, oh, like that was going to be like a subtle nod to like maybe that Ray Stance's family.
Who are you going to call? Somebody else. Yeah. Okay. I think the house looks, it's pretty dilapidated in the barn. Like, what fell on top of that barn that made it collapse? That's what I want to know. That's a wicked looking barn.
Most barns are pretty cool place to
Yeah. I'm excited once we get inside that barn, see what's in there. Now, at one point they go to a map, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but he's talking about there's no fault lines, there's no fracking, there's no loud music, but anyway, we're getting shaking on a daily basis around here. And they look at the map, and it has all this green stuff kind of leading toward the center point. And I couldn't help but think, like, slime. Like, why else would it be green? Ectoplasma. Like, what did you pick up on that at all?
Yeah, I had noticed that, at least from like a color standpoint. It was very visual, and I thought it was pretty neat. I didn't connect the dots as much as you are, for sure. But assuming that there's some sort of paranormal activity going on throughout the country leading to this one focal point, it's the Green Man.
Could be. We'll go a little bit further into this, and I think we get a couple more answers to what it could be. So they start having like it almost feels like an earthquake. So they all kind of like dive underneath this table, and then Finn's character makes like a little joke. He's like, "Remember that one time we died in the summer?" Like, I didn't laugh at that at all. I don't know if that was supposed to be a joke. That was probably the only thing that I didn't like about the trailer. But one thing I noticed in the background, and I don't know if this caught your eye, but there are books stacked all the way to the ceiling. So if you remember the original, they go into the library. It's the first scene of the movie. And Venkman says, "You're right. No human would stack books like this." And then they come up on the ghost, the librarian. What do you think about that Easter egg?
That's a good little catch by you. No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. And then, of course, we're going to see Phoebe kind of start to discover some things. She comes across a trap, which Mr. Gruberson's like, "Oh, cool, that's a replica ghost trap." And they're like, "What's a ghost trap?" And he's like, "Come on over here to YouTube." And they show some flashbacks, and they talk about how there has been a ghost sighting in 30 years. And the 80s, it was like The Walking Dead, the amount of ghosts. Now, there's a short little scene where they're in like some type of like boiler room. There's a bunch of pipes. There is a ghost up in the top of the screen. It's for like maybe 1.5, 2 seconds at the most. And we will see that little goblin here in a little while when they get into the ecto. What did you think about that?
Yeah, it's a slow burn of a trailer for them releasing these little nuggets and nods for sure.
Yeah,
which is cool. And my negativity comes from a place of love where don't dislike. You get what I'm getting at. It's not that I hate this trailer and I think the movie looks like trash. I'm worried that the final product might not be what we want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now I can understand that. I mean, 2016 was a letdown. There have been a lot of reboots and sequels that have been a letdown. So yeah, I could see the apprehension. So there's a couple other things I want to just talk about. One, we get to see the PKE meter, which is kind of cool. I did catch that when she goes down into like the secret room where she finds like the jacket, the proton pack, the spores, molds, and funguses collection. She does actually slide down a pole to get there. Now I'm curious how she gets up. Like, do you have to climb up the pole to get out of that room? I don't know. That's got me a little like, okay, well, where the heck does this place lead to? And then we got Paul Rudd's character holding the trap, and then he goes outside into the car. Actually, I should slow up a bit. She's walking up with her friend, and they get to an entrance here, and it says Shandor Mining, established 1927. Now, during the original movie, when they are in the jail cell, Egon is talking about Shandor, and he is part of, he's the one that was like the architect behind building those apartments, and that, like, it all connects to that, which leads us to Gozer, as we know. And then seconds later, what do we see jump on the hood of Mr. Cooperson's car but a terror dog? Does that lead you to think that we could be seeing the return of Gozer the Gozerian?
It clearly seems to lend itself to that, which it's a cool little nod, but I really appreciated what they did in Ghostbusters 2 with who I think is one of the best movie villains, Viggo the Carpathian, the Tsar of Moldova. I mean, come on. Sits on a throne of skull by a river of blood. That's a badass guy. But it's cool. No, it's because Dana Barrett's in it.
Yeah.
Or at least she's listed. So in some capacity, we'll see her.
Confirmed.
Obviously,
yeah.
We have no idea if they were able to nugget Rick Moranis, and if they were, they wouldn't tell us anyways. But who knows? He's a fantastic individual. But no, it's cool. It's cool little nod, and it rides the line of fan service and storytelling in a good way.
Okay, so let's get to some fan theories, or at least mine and your fan theories. Here's one that I have in my head right now that I think makes total sense, because how can you bring back the original cast with this family? Like, how do you get them to Oklahoma? Because they've always been New York based. So here is where I think the tie-in will happen. And none of this is confirmed. These are just my own thoughts. I think that after part 2, Janine in her relationship with Rick Moranis' character didn't work out. And I think she ended back up with Egon, who she wanted in the first place. If we go back to the first one, I think Janine is grandma. And I think because the main character, Callie, the single mom, says that she never knew her dad, who is she going to talk to when all these weird things start happening in Dad's house? Who would know about that? Grandma, right? Or in this case, her mom. And then who's Janine going to call when she needs help with Ghost? Stanton Bankman. Winston. Absolutely. So that's how we get all of our main cast back, is she's going to have to call them and ask for help. They're going to have to come to Oklahoma, and they're going to have to take down Gozer again.
I think that's a pretty nice little wrap theory that you got there, and I don't disagree. And I think that part of what I think is going to happen, or what I hope is going to happen, would be very similar to that. But I think, adding on to that, what I'm really hoping is this trailer is essentially footage from the first 30 minutes of the movie.
I think it is.
And obviously I'm with you when you say that it would be so corny if they had the original cast for a little stinger at the end. You would definitely roll your eyes, but I'm really hoping that they play a much larger part, because even so, like, you got to, how are these kids going to know that you can't cross the beams? Streams.
There you go.
They don't know. They don't know any of this shit. Like, he can be a gearhead all you want. He could be a smart individual, but Egon literally created these mechanisms. Mm-hmm. So unless he created an instruction manual, how would you even know to, like, shoot the ghost and then to trap it and then to put it into the containment area? Like, do they even have a containment area? Like, so that there has to be a bigger, larger play here. And so I'm really hoping that this is just the first scene of the movie. And
yeah, I don't think it's the first scene, but I think you're on to something. I think this is, at minimum, the first half of the movie, but it could be the first third. And that's awesome. If that's the case, awesome. That's exactly what I want, because I do want the main cast in a good chunk of this movie. I don't think they need like half of the movie. I don't think they need to be in it. If it's 120 minutes, they don't need to be in it for 60, but I think they need to be in it for 30 minimum. 30 to 45 would be the range for me, where I go, okay, that's a big enough role, because I look at movies that I've really liked that have done a good job, and I think of movies like Creed, where it's not about Stallone, but he's in the DNA of that story. He's very involved in the storyline, and he's a big part of the movie, and Creed's awesome. You loved Creed, right?
I did. I was a big fan of Creed, and I even liked Creed 2.
Yeah. I thought Creed 2 was great as well.
And if they accomplish what you're suggesting that they could, which I'm not necessarily seeing from this trailer, then yeah, this could be a wonderful film that'll be extremely successful. Okay,
so let's take it a step further. Let's say he moved out there because he knew that this is where it all started from. This is where it inseminated from, this mine, and he needed to get these ghosts out of New York City. So where can I take him? I'll take him to the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma in a mine shaft. He's got his containment unit down there, but he's been gone for so long that now it's starting to break down because it hasn't been upkept. Now it's dilapidated. It's running down. So if all these ghosts come out, we're looking at our main villain from the first movie, and we're looking at Vigo. Now what if we have to deal with both of them in one movie, along with the Scoleri brothers? Awful. I gave him the chair, right?
Okay, I love it.
Is that too much, though?
I think it's
to have
much.
Both of them. Yeah, I mean, gosh, you can't have them both, but
I mean, you can allude to them for sure, like the way that the plasm was going through the subways in New York is maybe it's moving the same way, and it's just a different sort of ectoplasm altogether. Because it was pink in the second one.
Yeah,
it was like
definitely. Is the river of slime there as well?
Right.
Is that what's brewing underneath the town, shaking the fault lines and giving them tremors every single day?
It has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be, but it has to be something.
Now, I know you would. It sounds like you would be more of a fan of Gozer making a return, or I'm sorry, Vigo making a return over Gozer. But I mean, are you okay if it's just Gozer? What if there's something where they're like the original show up and they're like, oh, let's make sure we don't open this one, and it's labeled Vigo the Carpathian, like, and he's got him in containment units, like one of our favorite movies, Independence Day, just all sucked up in there and just have him laying out where they're like, oh, don't wake these things up.
Yeah, I definitely think in terms of what makes the most sense for this film and for the fan base and for modern audiences, it's Vigo. Bringing Vigo back isn't the right choice.
Right.
So as much as I would love and would lobby for that to be, or to give Vigo his own spin-off series and merchandising and everything, I think that Gozer, or at least alluding to Gozer, or having there be a bigger bad behind it, something where it doesn't even have to just be solely Gozer. Maybe he's like the first mini boss to the bigger bad or something like that.
Yeah. Now here's my final point, and this is the last little Easter egg that I want to talk about, and then we can wrap up, or we can keep going depending on what you want to talk about. But 42 seconds into the trailer, there's an old man with glasses. You probably recognize him. He's in a couple scenes, but as the building is shaking, it's a wall full of keys. The key master. Is Paul Rudd's Mr. Gruberson the key master in this one?
I would buy that.
I think I would too, because he's got the terror dog, and right before Rick Moranis' character turns into the key master, he's chased down by the terror dog outside of the restaurant. I think that's why we're getting Gozer the Traveler, Gozer, whatever other nicknames you want, the Destructor. I don't know. I don't want to see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I think that'd be cheesy. We know that Gozer can take any form that it wants, so it doesn't have to come back as the Russian chick who looked like she was a fabulous ice skater. But do you have any ideas of what you would like to see Gozer come back as?
See, I'm kind of leaning towards and hoping that it would just be something completely new and completely original.
Sure.
Because as you mentioned, it won't be Stay Puft.
No way. Can't be.
There's no way. I mean, from a practical, logical sense, it was Stay Puft because of what Ray Stantz thought when they were all supposed to be shutting off their minds. And he thought of the one thing that couldn't hurt him. And that's what it was. So why would, I'm assuming, we'll see the first, based on this, we're going to see the first interaction with possibly the kids leading towards more ghost outbreaks and bringing the original crew to the sleepy little town. So I'm thinking it'll be something more modern for sure.
Okay. There is a little small part of me that kind of wishes that they're all together and they're like, choose the Destructor. And Venkman just goes, don't you dare. And he's like, I can't help it.
Not again.
Freaking Stay Puft just comes out of this cornfield. Just, I don't know, man. I'm excited. I know you're not as excited. I understand you're holding back a little bit because you want to see more. You don't want it to suck. I don't think anybody wants it to suck. And I'm hoping that Jason Reitman is going to make old dad proud here. Isn't it career suicide for him, though, to take on something like this if it wasn't like a really solid story? It just feels like this would ruin him.
Well, he plays in the shadows anyways. If you look at a lot of Jason Reitman's movies, they're big movies with big characters, but they're not necessarily big budget blockbusters. That's
a great line. He plays in the shadows.
So, I mean, if you look at some of his directing credits, he did Juno, Thank You for Smoking, Up in the Air, Labor Day. So you're talking about movies that are, I mean, he helmed George freaking Clooney in Up in the Air, and that was an excellent movie. And I'm sure the budget behind it was pretty tasty. But this is blockbuster territory now.
That's very true. I mean, his last movie, I believe, was Tully? Yeah. So Tully's his last movie. It did okay, but no monster budget, not a huge box office movie. I mean, it made looks like worldwide gross of $15 million. I mean, geez, if they even open up the legal people even get involved with this movie, it's $30 million just to start the paperwork with all the licensing and people that have to get paid out.
Mm-hmm. And that's thinking of, Reitman's resume as a director, which again is, I love him. But in looking at the first Ghostbusters, the second Ghostbusters, and then even the 2016 reboot, there was a lot of destruction in those movies.
Yeah.
Which, taking place in New York City, you've got a lot of room to play to knock stuff down and destroy cars and stuff like that. And so maybe that's part of the reason why I'm a little apprehensive, is because a lot of that big action and those set pieces aren't coming through in this small, sleepy town. Like, the stakes are lower. So it's possible that we don't get bigger set pieces and that we keep everything in this small little town. I mean, it looks like it has a nice downtown area, and they were driving through it in the Ecto one. But, I mean, it's possible that doing that and keeping it on a smaller scale throughout and keeping it out of New York City makes it play better to his unique directorial style.
Yeah, that's really good points. I don't see any angle where this ends up back in the city, nor was there anything leaked with them being in the city. Everything seemed to be wide lens, big shots, farm area, small town. I will say this: I thought the cinematography looked really good.
Oh,
sure. I don't know who did that, but well done.
No,
this feels like a big movie.
It does. It looks great, but it's even if you look at like the Transformers movies, which hit base in like a small town or wherever the hell.
Shit, yeah, it did.
And then it moves to the city.
And maybe they went because they filmed in Canada, so maybe they ended up in Toronto in the city, and they were able to keep it under wraps.
I mean, it's entirely possible, but a lot of times they tend to do that and include the big city, and then it plays better in an international market for a lot of reasons, because people in Hong Kong aren't necessarily give a damn about Midwest Oklahoma, nor is it relatable to them.
Fuck Oklahoma.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting because I'm not saying that he can't pull it off doing it all on a small scale like that. I just think it changes the dynamic.
Sure. Okay. I think we should wrap it there. I think we have one very skeptical, albeit wants to see a great movie in you. We have one over the top Ghostbuster fan that's just like, oh my God, it's here. It took 30 years, but son of a bitch, it's here. And I can't wait until July. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll wait for another trailer to drop. Maybe we'll drop another review, but thanks for listening, guys. We're going to have one of our regular episodes here later in the week. If you're new to the show, you're just checking this out on a whim, give her a podcast to listen. We do top 5 breakdowns. We do movies that we will dive into, like Ghostbusters, which is in our archives. Ghostbusters 2, I'm sure we're going to do in June, probably late June, right before the movie drops. But JD, anything you would say to new listeners here?
Yeah, for sure. Check out. I mean, we've got a lot of episodes. So first of all, thank you if you're a new listener. If there's only one new listener that's listening, I'm talking to you and I'm thanking you specifically. If there's 2 of you, you can fight over the scraps. But yeah, we got a lot. We cover a lot. We hit a lot of ground. Horror, comedy, some action. We haven't done that much action, really.
Not really. Terminator, sci-fi, action, Demolition Man,
Judge Dredd.
That's about it.
So yeah, everything from Pauly Shore to Rick Moranis. It's in our archives, and you know, we have a lot of interactivity on our social media platforms. And guys, gals, animals, we're always looking for new guests to come on and, you know, let us know your favorite movie. If there's something that we haven't covered, if you're dying for us to do Ghostbusters 2, shout it out on Twitter. Let us know, and we'll definitely put it on the list. And, you know, thank you for engaging with us. I know Kyle just put up a poll topic a few days ago, so it's exciting.
Yeah, check out that poll topic. It should still be running, so that would be your go-to Christmas movie every year. So the choice is Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, or Other, because Twitter doesn't let you put 10 movies on there, which I would have liked to do. But yeah, Christmas Vacation is leading the poll, so check that out. And then come back a week from now and you can listen to us break down Christmas Vacation as we kind of close out the year here with the Back in Time Pod. So interact with us on social media. We are at Back in Time Pod. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, IGTV, YouTube. You can follow me at KAutry29. JD is at Unjust Justin. And we are out of time. Time to hop into our Ecto 1. Maybe I'll throw JD in the old gunner seat, blast some people with his proton pack, and we are out of here. We will talk to you guys in a couple days with top 5 Christmas villains. See ya.
Stay spooky. Merry Christmas.